I'll use myself as an example. I want to grow a literal Garden of Eden on planet Earth. It's one of my big, silly dreams. It's going to happen one day. As far as the 3 things go to make sure that you pull through the chaos with flying colors to utilize the swing, in other words, is to get your definiteness of purpose down. That's the first one, the definiteness of purpose. And what the definiteness of purpose does is it frees up energy. It frees up energy that would otherwise be wasted on useless activities. But we have to have a good mindful consideration of our dream, our life's purpose, our life's work. Figure it out. It's not that hard to do. It's not. There's a million videos on how to find your purpose. It's not as big a deal as you guys think it is. Pick your favorite one. I know you like a bunch of shit, obviously. You wouldn't be confused if you didn't like a bunch of shit. Pick your favorite one, narrow it down to 3, pick your favorite one, and slam it hard. You can change your mind. But nonetheless, give it 110. So what happens when you create a definiteness of purpose, like I said, you stop wasting energy on useless shit. It gives you a hierarchy of decisions, which leads me into my next point. We have to start learning the difference between good and bad. One would think at this point in a person's life they would know the difference between good and bad, at least to them, at least to their own world. The New Age movement will have you thinking that everything is subjective, that there is no objective truth, that everything is relative to each other, and that's only half the truth. That's half of the coin, neglecting the complete other half of the coin, which says there's absolutely objective truth. There's absolutely a good and a bad choice for you to make in any given circumstance. And if you have a definiteness of purpose, you know what you want to do, you know how you're going to do it, you're cutting out everything else. Our world seems to be fucking littered with this idea that there's no such thing as right or wrong. And if there's ever been a sort of foreshadowing to the end of the world in any text or piece of literature in the history of mankind, I'm sure it would come during a time when people argued whether or not there was such thing as good or bad. Like, are you kidding me? Of course there's fucking things as good and bad, objectively speaking, every day. If I want to grow an orange tree, I have to plant an orange and I have to water it and fertilize it regularly. If I want to eat good tasting, healthy oranges, which means I got to put good food and good water into it. If I want oranges, am I going to put bleach into the soil? Like, of course not. That would be ridiculous. I'm not going to put bleach on my tree. I'm going to kill it. Putting bleach on the tree is an objectively speaking bad thing for me to do if I want to eat oranges. You see how simple it is? There's such thing as good or bad. And I know what's good or bad because I know what I want from the tree. See what I'm saying? How they sort of work towards each other. They work in tandem of each other. I know what to do because I know what I want. Only a fool would think that there's no truth in his or her life. I'm going to postulate that, right? I don't necessarily believe this, but I believe this. You would have to be an absolute fool to not think that there are such things as good or bad, and not believe that everything is subjective. That works if you don't have a definiteness of purpose, and it works to your advantage if you're happy with not having a definiteness of purpose. Because if you don't have a definiteness of purpose, it doesn't matter what decision you make from day to day. All decisions are equal because you don't have a goal anyways. So if that's your goal, to be goalless, then that's okay to believe that there's complete subjectivity and no objectivity. But we live in the third dimension. There are things that need to be done. There are things that need to be willed into existence. Objectively speaking, evil and corrupt things need to be overthrown. And that's part of our job here. So I don't necessarily believe that you get to not do anything and just be happy for the rest of your life. That's not what this life is about, to me at least. It's more about casting light into the shadows. That's our job as shiners of light, is to not only cast light into the shadows, but to seek out the shadows actively. Otherwise, where you shooting your load if you ain't got no vessel, in other words, is what I'm saying. You need that darkness. The darkness needs the light needs the darkness. So when I tell you guys that you need a definiteness of purpose, and when I tell you guys that you need a hierarchy of decisions, you need to discern right from wrong, what you wish to achieve, as long as it's in alignment with your purpose that you know, if you just spent some time with it. You guys know the word decision, to decide. You ever stop and think about how that word is sort of broken down? Decision, decision. Think of incision, to cut into, scission, to cut into. Decision, out, so to cut out. When you make a decision for something to happen, for something to be manifested, and you're thorough with the decision, not passive with the decision, if you're polarizing with the decision, meaning you're giving it an objective value in your life that's not subject to change, when you do that, you're sort of activating your masculine one, but two, you're willing something into existence. And to will a particular thing means you must cut out all other things. In order for this tree to be an orange, in other words, it must cut off the option of being any other fruit. This can't be both an orange and a plum at the same time. In the quantum world, yeah, but as far as 99% of our consciousness is occupied, we're living in the third dimension, and we need to know how to navigate it. And for the third dimension to exist, for objects to exist in the third dimension, everything else needs to be cut out. The pure potential of the etheric must be condensed into a single point of existence as a orange. This is the ego. This is the lens of this object, is orange. Mine is keith. The whole thing is a tree. Earth is earth. You are you. That log on the floor is a log on the floor. That's its perception. Anywho, I digress a bit. There's a bunch of other things you can do to be sort of on your game, if you will. I narrowed them down to these three because they seem to cover everything else. Like, think of one of them as like having a pleasing personality, meaning you're happy to be around. If you have a definiteness of purpose and you're pursuing it genuinely, I guarantee you'll be a genuinely happy. Within reason, you will be a happy person to follow your bliss. So, of course, pleasing personality would come with the job. Even the devil himself, being the devil himself, whenever it is represented in literature, it always has a pleasing personality. We just read Napoleon Hill's Interview with the Devil, and the devil is charming, and he's clever, and he's instills a sort of he's got a certain sort of a little persuasiveness under his belt, because he has a pleasing personality, because the devil is doing goddamn what he came here to do, which is be the devil. And as long as he carries that out, he will be happy in his world. We're going to have to understand this concept of a mastermind. A mastermind is a third-party mind that is a combination of all the minds involved, period. So you and your partner, your two minds, share a third harmonious mind blended of you and them. You have 10 people, all 10 people come together, they do the same thing. Napoleon Hill calls this the mastermind group. So that the most important mastermind you will ever have is your partner, your spouse. It's a different topic, but what I want you guys to get from this is you are actually, believe it or not, a combination of the things you surround yourself with. All the things. I mean that literally on a quantum level. Another New Age concept that gets muddled in the water is this. It says that all is mind and the external world doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the internal. Again, yes, and again, no. You only have half the truth. The saying goes, as above, so below. But also, as below, so above. Both worlds act on each other. And the humans you surround with in particular are going to be the most powerful influencers of your field, of your energetic field, your emotional field, your soul field, your spirit field, if you will. You guys can't expect to be a certain thing but surround yourself with its opposite. There's no way. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like again, you have hot water, you throw cold water into it, the hot water becomes lukewarm water. And that's what's happening with some of you guys. You're hot as hell. You're coming out of the gates firing straight from the hip, not giving two fucks. And then you surround yourself with the opposite. And people are the most powerful influencers because people are the most, as far as we know, most conscious beings on the planet, at least the most actively conscious beings on the planet. And because we match humans, we are humans, so of course we're going to be influenced by humans more than anything else. But the point is, you gotta be on par. You have to, if you're creating a team, a group, you guys all have to share the same goal. And you have to know the goal. You have to know there has to be a definiteness of purpose. The reason why I'm speaking on this is if you're going to create a team, right? If you're going to, which you must do, if you're trying to do things like grow a Garden of Eden on the planet, I'm going to need to do it with more than just myself. So the team I surround myself with is going to have to be on, they're going to have to know the end goal, they're going to have to know the steps how to get there, and they're going to have to know their role. Like, that's just how it works. And they have to know it, they have to know it well. So again, they can know what decisions are good and which ones are bad. And the quality of character that they possess is going to be the quality of character that influences the group mastermind. Again, when two or more people come together, they create an independent, sort of sentient mind that's a combination of all of those minds, called a mastermind. And that mastermind is spirit bomb in the sky. That mastermind is just soaking in information. It's just out there like this nice little blue orb with some yellow lightning bouncing around it, and it's little electricity bouncing off. And you can imagine that ball just changing colors. You know, everyone gets pissed off, boom, it turns bright red. Everyone gets super sad, blue, purple, something dark, something heavy, super happy, excited, yellow, red, you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. You have your definiteness of purpose, which means you can define what's good and bad for you, objectively speaking, in this world. And then you surround yourself, obviously, with the right people, now knowing that doing so creates another mind that operates in your guys' favor. Speaking of as above, so below, you know how there's a consciousness, there's a sort of active and passive. Our subconscious is our passive, extremely powerful, extremely deep, and sort of interconnected web. This vast wealth of information and power is the subconscious mind. The conscious mind doesn't have much power, but it's able to focus the power of the subconscious into a focal point so that you can pull something into existence, the masculine and the feminine. The mastermind has both subconscious and conscious properties. So if we, and think of the subconscious mind as the ocean. It's constantly getting energy, and it's constantly emitting energy. You'll know this if you live near an ocean or a large body of water, that the water tends to regulate the atmosphere of the coast because water is constantly radiating heat energy, or cold, depending upon what it is. So that's what the subconscious mind is doing. It's radiating things out 24/7, constantly, passively just letting things slip out and into the physical world. So if we get that subconscious mind on point, we can be sleeping and the signal is being broadcasted. We could be angry and the signal is still being broadcasted, because our emotions tend to be fickle. Anger comes and goes, happiness comes and goes, it's very changing, but the subconscious mind remembers constantly radiating that. I think we got it for the most part. You know, I mean, I'm sure, but some of the things I've said in this video You might have heard 1,000 times or not. If you haven't heard it, awesome. Welcome to the club. If you have heard it 1,000 times, I just wanted to give a different angle. You know what I mean? I just wanted to sort of, I don't know, the conversations have been getting old and washed out and muddled and just not done well, not done consciously enough. Just blasting out ultimatums left and right, black and white left and right, like no such thing as good or bad. Ever? Really? There's never, ever anything such as good or bad? Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Get out of here. That, also too many videos out there talking about how hard it is to find your purpose in life, and sort of, maybe they don't do it on purpose. Like, I'm not saying they do it vindictively, but so much of the videos out there on finding your definiteness of purpose has to do with how to find it, because assuming that it's lost. Like, this is how you find it. This is how you bring it about. This is how you realize. This is how you go somewhere to find what makes you happy. Like, you are you, man. You don't got to go anywhere to find out what makes you happy. You just got to do what makes you happy. It's as simple as that. There's some things to do, like, okay, make sure the excitement that you're following isn't unhealthy excitement that's actually killing you in the long run, like partying and doing drugs every weekend. Excitement, happiness, bliss to an extent, but is it sustainable, right? So use your reason when you're use your logic as you're using your emotion, by all means. Put them both together. Again, we need that nice feminine masculine blend. What was that? Anyway, I think that's about it. Get the mastermind on point. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way and figure out your life's purpose. If you're 18 years old, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry too much about it. Don't let it stress you out. Like, it's not life or death. You know what I mean? And just get out of your own way. And then the first is, and that's it. Anyway, thanks you guys for being here, hanging out under the orange tree. Nice to see you. And like, subscribe, hit all the buttons that you need to hit. All right, take it easy.